Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Senul on Space. This is the first video I'm doing for this new year. So I would like to wish you all a very happy new year. I'm sure that most of you are eagerly waiting to know what is this new video. Well, today I would like to speak about a unique planet among all the other planets. I'll give you 4 clues for you to guess what I'm gonna talk about today. 1 is the 6th planet from the Sun. 2 is the 2nd largest planet in the solar system. 3, which has got the most beautiful rings in the solar system, which is also known as the jewel of the solar system. And 4, the planet which floats on water. Were you able to guess the planet? If you could guess, quickly put a message in the comments. Yes, it's none other than the beautiful ringed planet Saturn. Saturn is the 6th planet from the Sun, and it is the 2nd largest planet in the solar system. Its neighboring planets are Jupiter and Uranus. Saturn is one of the gas giants, same as Jupiter. Saturn takes 29.5 Earth years to travel around the Sun. This means Saturn's year is 29.5 Earth years. One day on Saturn goes by in just 10.7 Earth hours. The planet's average distance from the Sun is about 1.4 billion kilometers, or about 9.5 astronomical units. Saturn is named after the Roman god Saturnus, who is the god of harvest and the father of Jupiter. In the ancient days, the word Saturday also comes from the name of this Roman god. The most prominent features of Saturn are its beautiful rings. This planet has got a lovely set of 7 main rings with spaces between them. Saturn's rings are much more visible than in other gas giants because the rings reflect most of the sunlight, and because of that, Saturn's rings are bright. Saturn is also known as the jewel of the solar system because of that reason. Saturn is composed of mostly of hydrogen and helium, the lightest gases in the universe. It has a diameter of about 116,420 kilometers. It has a radius of about 58,230 kilometers, and its density is about 0.69 grams per cubic centimeter. And finally, Saturn has 63 known moons and 20 more unconfirmed moons. Now I I shall speak more about Saturn. Saturn is obviously a colossal planet like Jupiter. You could fit 9 Earths side by side to cover Saturn's diameter. That doesn't include its rings. As I mentioned, Saturn's atmosphere is mostly composed of hydrogen and helium, the lightest gases in the universe. As you can see, there are other substances as well, like ammonia, methane and water ice, but those are present in very small quantities. The surface of Saturn appears smooth because the clouds are hidden under a layer of haze. However, if we look at the hidden clouds, they are racing like mad in Saturn's atmosphere, which means it's very windy on Saturn. Storms on Saturn can reach speeds more than 3 times as fast as the most powerful tornadoes on Earth. Could you even imagine that? Also, the Cassini probe reported that it had seen swirling storms near the poles. As we all know, Saturn's atmosphere is composed of hydrogen and helium. But as we descend further into the surface of Saturn, we can see that these gases turn into liquid form because of the extreme pressure inside Saturn. Further down, we can see that the liquid behaves like a metal. So this is known as liquid metallic hydrogen. If we go right to the middle of Saturn, we can see that the hydrogen and helium solidifies into an extremely solid core. Now I'm gonna tell you a very funny fact about Saturn. Just imagine you fill up a pool the size of the solar system and put Saturn into it. What would happen? Yes, Saturn will float on top of the water like it's on a pool float. The reason is because since Saturn is made out of the lightest gases in the universe, it makes Saturn light too. Since these elements are less dense than water, Saturn will float. What a funny and interesting fact about Saturn, isn't it? A year on Saturn is 29.5 Earth years. I'm sure that most of you people are more than 29.5 years old. If so, you are lucky enough to watch this video because Saturn has returned to the place it was when you were born, which means it has passed an orbit around the Sun. Its complete orbit is a journey of more than 4.5 billion kilometers at an average speed of 34,900 kilometers per hour. Saturn is the second fastest spinning planet in the solar system. Its day is around 10.7 Earth hours, which means its day is less than half of an Earth day. This also means that its equator moves over 35,000 kilometers per hour. Its fast rotation makes it bulge in the middle. This means its diameter around the equator is about 120,000 kilometers, and the diameter from pole to pole is about 108,000 kilometers, which makes its difference about the same diameter of the Earth. Now it's about Saturn's rings. Saturn's rings probably formed when a rocky celestial body was ripped apart into tiny pieces by Saturn's gravity. So, these may have started to orbit around the planet. Thus, Saturn's rings were formed. These glorious things are made of millions of chunks of water, ice, and rocks, which were the fragments of the celestial body I mentioned before. The main rings of Saturn have the distance from Earth to the Moon, but they are less than a kilometer thick. In 1610, the Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei was the first person to see Saturn's rings through a telescope. But after his observation, he wasn't sure what he was looking at, because it looked like a planet had ears. Oh my god! A planet with ears? But the astronomer Christian Huygens realized that these shapes were actually rings in 1659. So these ears or handles turned out to be the rings of Saturn. So these are the main rings of Saturn in order. D, C and B are the nearest rings to the planet. After them is the A ring. The A and B rings are divided by the Cassini division. The A ring also has its own subdivisions, such as the Young, Keeler gaps. After the A ring, there is the thin F ring. The A ring and the F ring are divided by the Roche division. Then there are the two faint rings, G and E. There are also fainter rings in between them, such as the Janus Epimetheus ring, the Methone and Anthe ring arcs, and the Pallini ring. In 2009, scientists have discovered a new, extremely large ring orbiting very far from Saturn, which is known as the Phoebe ring. This ring is named after the moon Phoebe. All of the rings of Saturn, with the exception of the faint rings, are composed of thousands of tiny ringlets, especially in the A ring. The faint rings might be composed of thousands of tiny dust particles, like in Jupiter's ring system. The rings and the divisions interact with the planet's shepherd moons, which I will be talking about later. Now I shall speak about the moons and shepherd moons of Saturn. As I mentioned earlier, Saturn has about 63 known moons and 20 more unconfirmed moons. Saturn's largest moons are Titan, Rhea, Enceladus, Mimas, Tethys, Dione, Hyperion and Iaptus. Titan is the largest moon of Saturn, and it is the only moon known to have a thick atmosphere. Rhea is the only moon in the solar system which is known to have a thin atmosphere of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Enceladus is one of the most reflecting bodies of the solar system because of its clean and pure white icy surface. Tethys is the moon which is known to gravitationally lock the two orbits of two moons. Those are Callisto and Calypso. And Mimas has a crater which dominates 3/4 of the moon. Hyperion is the largest irregular shaped moon in the solar system. Dione has a heavily cratered surface, just like in other moons, and Iactus is the furthest moon of Saturn. The other moons include Prometheus, Pandora, Anthe, Daphnis, and Scathi. Now it's about Saturn's shepherd moons. What does the term shepherd moon means? Well, it means about some small natural satellites that help to define and shape up the rings of the outer gas giant planets. They control the chunks of rock and the dust particles that help to make the gas giant's ring system. It's like when shepherds used trained sheepdogs to control their sheep. In the Aries gap, known as the 8th division, ring material is swept clear by the planet's smallest moon, Pan, and the two large shepherd moons, Janus and Epimetheus, help to maintain the planet's D-ring. And Prometheus orbits on the inner edge of the F-ring. Also, the moon, Pandora, may help to shape the outer edge of Saturn's F-ring, but its gravitational effects on the ring are unclear. Finally, I would like to talk about the missions sent to Saturn. Only 4 spacecraft have visited Saturn for now. These are Pioneer 11, Voyager 1, Voyager 2, and Cassini-Huygens. The first 3 of them just flew past Saturn and only received a little amount of information. But the last one orbited the planet and deployed a small lander. Pioneer 11 was the first spacecraft to ever visit Saturn. It took the first images of Saturn and few of its moons, but they were low in resolution. It was the first spacecraft to study Saturn's rings properly. Next is Voyager 1. It took the first high-resolution images of the planet, its rings and its moons. Surface features of various moons were seen for the first time. NASA elected for Voyager to explore the thick atmosphere of Titan because Pioneer 11 hadn't done the job properly. But unfortunately, because it's changed its path, its trajectory to the other planets was changed and it was kicked out of the plane of the solar system, heading up and up. The next mission, Voyager 2, continued the study of Saturn. It took more close-up images of Saturn's moons. It probed Saturn's upper atmosphere with its radar to measure temperature and density profiles. And the last mission was Cassini-Huygens. It's regarded as one of the most successful outer solar system missions. The huge craft was weighing 5 tons at launch and cost $3.26 billion. Could you even imagine that? Before going into orbit, it had already flown past the moon Phoebe. The orbiter completed 2 flybys of the moon Titan before deploying its Huygens lander. For 3 hours, Huygens descended through the atmosphere on a parachute, sending a flood of information. After a slightly bumpy landing, Huygens continued to send signals for about another 90 minutes. Cassini then continued to study Saturn, its moons and its rings. Its mission has been extended 2 times, and at last, in 2017, Cassini-Huygens descended into the Saturn's atmosphere, and it got vaporized into Saturn's atmosphere, adding all of its material to Saturn. What a sad death for such a beautiful spacecraft, isn't it? Okay, I have come to the end of another video. If you have any questions about Saturn, you may put it in the comments. I am very happy to respond to you. Do not forget to share this video among your friends to make them aware about Saturn. Okay guys, it is time for me to go back to my spaceship to explore the next big secret. Until then, goodbye everybody. Learn and enjoy every moment of your life. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye.